Greetings. I'm going to take a little bit of time with this video today. I hope you don't mind. I have some notes written down that I'm going to be looking at because it's a video that I've been giving a lot of thought to over at least the process of a good while. I don't want to be cryptic. I want to say that we're talking today about the reading elements in the tarot. And I have had several requests, and I've even mentioned in passing, because I've seen other people do it in their spreads, including places for elements and spreads. And I myself have done that a few times where I've had placement given to elements, particularly when I was working with the what is it called? The Druid Plant Oracle, which is the herbs and plants cards, those beautiful cards. I think I've shared them here before, where I use them as a part of my card of the month series in my bullet journal. And I've also done a couple spreads out of the book, which I really liked. So, and which do include the elements. And I know that in the past, but we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But I somehow put it out of my mind. I don't know why. And I've been thinking about and looking around on the internet here on YouTube, looking for how other people read the elements. And I was having a little bit of, I had like a little difficulty, excuse me, with the very concept of including elements, cards, placements in a spread to represent elements, because the elements are already written into the tarot, which is of course a very obvious thing to say. But we have the elements, the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water already in the cards as the suits of pentacles and swords and wands and cups. So we already have those written in. We also have done the court card series. I'm reading the court cards. I've done quite a number, not quite a number, but several, I will say, videos that address mainly reading, easier way to read court cards. And we have addressed the fact that we talk about the hierarchy of the court, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king being representing again the elements of air and fire and water and earth. We talked about Queen of Cups being the watery side of water, and we talked about the page of swords, or the page of, let's say, pentacles being the airy side of earth, right? We've done that. And if you are not familiar with what I'm talking about, I think you can check out pretty easily on my channel. Find those videos pretty easily. I'll try to remember to link to it, but I'm really bad about doing that, so I admit that. But at any rate, I had this in my back of my mind. Well, people really want to know what about the elements, and what would I do if I was going to put the elements in a reading, specifically, again, kind of forgetting about how we read about them in the Druid Plant Oracle. And it was sort of in the back of my mind. And at the same time, if you're familiar with my habits, my daily habits that particularly the ones I use in my bullet journal here, one of the parts of my practice, my daily routine, is pulling a daily card, 1 card per day, and recording it in my journal. And now I want to make a caveat here. It's not that I'm using these cards necessarily as a method of reading. It's not really single card readings that I'm doing daily, even though, of course, they really are. That's what they really are. But that's not why I do them. I'm trying to familiarize myself. Usually I use them to familiarize myself or reacquaint myself with decks, with the energies of the deck. Look at the card maybe in a little different way. Revisit the card, meet it again. And for this year, from ever since Yule, I have done January, I did February, now I'm going into March with the Forest of Enchantment deck that I've been sharing with everybody. I think I've been calling it the Enchanted Forest deck, but I've been corrected. It is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. The reason I must have said that is because in the book it says your pathway through the Enchanted Forest. So that's how I think about it in my mind. But anyway, I love the deck. I'm spending a lot of time with the deck because it has a lot of wonderful messages, which I've shared, and I'm really happy to see a lot of you are commenting, making comments to me that you are picking up the deck and using it yourself. That's not the reason I did it. I'm not getting anything from the author of the deck, but but when I see something I really like, I love to share it. But anyway, I'm making my story very long, but it's important. I wrote down the card every day, and usually I do it at breakfast, sitting here at this table with my husband, and I pulled on. I'm consulting my journal here. Wednesday, February 26th. No, first of all, Tuesday, February 25th. Wednesday, I pulled Tuesday, February 25th, the 7 of Challenges, which I'll share what that is in a minute. Wednesday, February 26th, I pulled the 7 of Challenges again. And Friday, the 28th, I pulled it for a third time. 3 times in 4 days. Over the course of 4 days, I pulled the 7 of Challenges. 7 of Challenges. And I like the card a lot. I don't know if I like the meaning of the card, but I like the card itself a lot because here it shows foxes visiting in the night, in the dead of the night while people are sleeping, a gypsy Vargo. I guess the travelers, it's kinder to say the travelers, Vargo, and sneaking away with the most unusual items they're sneaking away with. One of them has a bag of, it could be coins, it could be a tarot bag, I'm not sure what's in the bag. Another one has a concertina, and a third fox has a teacup. And it's so funny, in the book it has, taking a closer look at the cards, it mentions that maybe the fox is, there's the teacup that he found. He had a saucer of that pattern, and he finally has found a cup to go with it, which I think is kind of funny. Very cute. But the author has a terrific sense of humor, I think. But anyway, the card, in that kind of a meaning, I think I needed to pay attention to the card. Like, what is this card? And in my husband's words, he said, well, someone is talking to you. You better listen. You better listen. And he's right. So I thought, okay, I'm going to look at this card. What is this card showing up? Why is this card showing up in my life? And because it wasn't making sense, because in the book of cards it talks about, them coming in, and the first thing that it mentions is maybe people are doing something behind your back. Maybe there's people around you that are deceiving you, or maybe are you acting in a deceitful manner? Or that's of course the very beginning. That's sneaking away, trying to get away with something, which we see in the Rider-Waite deck. The young man stealing the swords, creeping away from where the camp or whatever, trying to get away with something, right? He's very skilled, and he's using his skills in a maybe not so upfront way. So that it's a clear message, but I'm looking at my life going, that's just not happening in my life. That absolutely, I'm not a Pollyanna, but I don't know that anybody's doing anything behind my back the way I live right now. And if they did, I don't know that it would hurt me because I really don't have much to lose as far as, unless somebody's trying to steal my identity, and my, I don't know what they would be stealing from me. So the limelight, I don't have limelight. I don't have that. So I don't, it doesn't, I don't have a job that people are trying to take my job or, so I was having a little trouble. What is this card trying to mean? So I thought, oh, good timing, what good timing. I will use the elements. I will just look in the elements and say what the elements are telling me. What are the elements, the energies coming from the elements tell me about this card? Okay. So I just did a really simple layout. If the lady's not too poor, you can see that I put that card in the middle, spirit, to represent spirit. That was the message coming from the spirit world because it kept showing up for 3 days out of 4. So I put that card in the center and I put cards representing the elements. The 4 elements around it in a simple cross pattern like we use the center, the first part of the, first part of the Celtic cross, or a lot of simple 5-card readings. I do those all the time. Or I'll put as above, so below, behind and in front, or whatever it is that we do in a simple 5-card place. And I had instead representing, instead of the past, and I had representing Earth. Here, I can even show you. I put Earth in the north because this is what I think. Earth in the north, air in the east. As I'm looking at it, as I was looking at a map, fire in the south, water in the west, and that's the way my house is laid out. I tell you that all the time. That's just logical to me to look at it that way. And I had the card. I pulled a card to represent each of the elements, thinking, okay, let's see what it has to say. So the first card I pulled, coincidentally, was the 9 of Challenges. The 9 of Challenges, which would be the 9 of Swords. And that was representing air, which kind of interesting that I had a challenge card or an air card representing air, which is the element of air, which is the corresponding suit. And in this deck, it is a young man. It's pretty dark. I don't know if I can get enough light. He's hiding out. He's lost. Hiding out under a tree, in the root of a tree or in the hollow of a tree. Scared. Oh, he's scared. He's scared. And this card, that's what the card is about. It's about fear. It's about being frozen in a way. He's afraid to venture out from where he is, tucked away, because he doesn't know what's out there. There's a lot of things out there that which are very scary. And it talks about maybe that fear coming out of not being ready to face what's there. He doesn't have anything to defend himself. He's very ill-equipped. He's ill-equipped for the darkness to come and take away the cover of, the light. Because, now, what it talks about, what he needs to do is face it during the day before it gets dark. And this is what we do in our camp. I talk about this all the time. What we do in our camp, because we're in the darkness, making sure we know where everything is that we're going to need in the dark, and making sure nothing is there when it is light, that when it gets dark we won't see and fall over. Like nothing is left out in the open center of the camp. No bags or whatever. A steak bag or whatever is laid out somewhere. Just chair laying down somewhere in a pile. Things are put away where you can't, so you could walk without worrying about tripping over something. We know where the matches are, the lighters are, to light fires, to light candles. And we get our candles ready before it gets dark. Our candles, our tea lights go in where we have tea lights. Our candles are all ready to go. Lanterns are filled with fuel if they use fuel before it gets dark. So when it's getting dark, we can turn those lights on. We are prepared. So we're not fearful. We're not stumbling around in fear in the dark. Okay, so that's what this is talking about. It's about being fearful. If you're fearful, it's because it's your fault. You weren't really prepared. Okay? Well, I don't know that I feel fearful. I didn't think still I felt fearful. But then the next card I pulled, anyway, I kept going. The next card I pulled was the card represent fire, the element of fire, and I got the 2 of Visions. And the 2 of Visions, as soon as I saw this was, of course, the 2 of Cups. And this represents talking about a friend of the heart being nearby, some kind of a spiritual bond with somebody else, something that has been missing has been found, and it says you will know it when it appears. Well, It could be a loved one, a love interest, but I have a love interest that I know I've had for, over 50 years in my life. So I know that, I'm not looking for a new one. So I know it didn't mean that, it meant something else. And I have to say that I have recently, within the last, year, really realized a friend who I have so much in common with. I really have a lot in common with her. And we're talking about doing some things, some little kind of ventures, like little kind of activity things together that are really important to me. I'm talking about including her in those. One particular, which I don't want to talk about it right now because it's coming up. It's nothing, it's not a business venture or anything. It's a personal event that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I haven't had really the right kind of people who I thought would want to be involved in it, and now I do, but I always thought I was going to do it on my own, and the idea came up to do it with this other person, which, okay, that's very much a part of my life right now. That's just in the last couple weeks, that's been conversation that's been going on, so that kind of rang a little bit of a bell for me. Okay. And then thirdly, we'll get back to this card in a minute. Thirdly, I pulled for the element of water, the Weaver of Challenges. And I thought that was really interesting. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say, the fire. In the fire card, this is why I want to take my time. We had an air card show up in the position of air. In the position of fire, we had a cup card, vision card show up in fire. Okay, so that tells me that this relationship, yes, is very much a part of a passion for me. That creative endeavor that I want to take upon. This person is very much a part of that, and this reading is going to have something to do with that. This is not just about the relationship. This is about the relationship. This is really important. This is about the relationship in the position of what I have called fire in my reading, which is all about the passion, the creativity, that desire to ignite this something new that's going to happen. I'm making steps to try to make this happen involving this person. And that's interesting because that's really happening. Okay. Third card is the Weaver of Challenges. Shows up in the position of water. The Weaver of Challenges. Oh, now that's interesting because this is a queen. This is the Weaver. This is some kind of mature representation of the element of air, of challenges, showing up in my water position on my spread. Okay, well, what do we know about this card in this deck? The author says she sets a task that requires your wits and intelligence. But it's like a wall of magical thorns. It can block your way. She speaks her mind and provides much needed clarity. It may, this is important, this may signify a cynicism about personal relationship. Very powerful card, very powerful queen, very powerful card. In a very powerful place in a reading for me in the water position. Remember me, the triple Cancer, the watery, dribbly Cancer. Right? I'm very much emotional. I'm very much controlled by my emotions, my feelings, all the time. That's my strength. That's my weakness. My strength is my intuition. My strength is that kind of knowledge of, being an empathic knowledge. My weakness is my emotion. First thing to come flying out is my emotion. This is the Weaver of Challenges who is blocking, this is a queen who's letting her head get in the way, right? She's letting her head get in the way. She has a cynicism about personal relationships. Well, that hit the nail on the head for me. I do have a cynicism about personal relationships. I've said that in this channel before. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've had people just not too far in the recent past completely out of nowhere just knock me for a loop. I thought they were a good friend. I thought we were at a good place. We were in a good place. And out of nowhere came this a very deceitful, very negative things. I don't want to talk about it, but it was made up. It was not even real. It was a made up lie. It was an immature. I don't even know what it was about. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to my husband. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. But it happened. And rather than try to deal with it, I just walked away from it. Like, I don't have time for this kind of people that are that unbalanced. Some people just aren't. But that has happened to me before. I attract a lot of people that are very needy. I do. I know that. I attract people that are in desperate need of something, and I give it to them. And then I usually pay some kind of a price. And that's kind of what the price was that I paid. And I know that, so I'm very cautious. Hence, I'm very cautious when it comes to saying, oh, yes, I'm going to share something that I have been wanting to do for years and years and years, and I want you to be a part of it. Oh, that's a scary thing for me to say. Okay? Finally, I have the Weaver of the Weaver of Visions. The Weaver of Visions, here representing as a mermaid, talking about being able to go from one world to the next, one world to the next. But in the position, not in the water position, which she's she's the master of the queen of the West, queen of the West, not the Wicked Witch of the West, the queen of the element of water. Okay. She acts on instinct. She acts on her heart, whatever her heart tells her to do. And this is in earth. This is in practical matters. This is in we're not talking in business for me anymore. I'm too old for that. But we are talking about matters that this is something that I ventured that's going to have some kind of effect on me because it's something that I'm going to be including in the book that I've been working on. So it's a big project for me. It's not just a whim. But it's also something that means a lot to me. Entertaining. It's entertaining and it's giving to people that I love, and it's just being, celebrating with people I love. That's what it's about. Okay? And it's a very emotional, but my emotions it's such a part of it. It's not just something that I'm going to do. It's hard for me to talk about it without telling you what it is, and I don't want to talk about it and tell you what it is until I'm ready to tell you what it was. But because it's still close to me. But be satisfied in knowing that it is something that I really, even though it's an emotional thing, I'm doing it because I love it and it's something I really feel it. I don't want it to become an emotional burden. I don't want to react. I don't want to react emotionally to it, if you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, all this is very good, and this is really not even the spread that I want to share with you, but I want to just say quickly, if I can move on to the little more meat of the matter. How did this explain to me this card? Did it in any way explain this card to me? This seven of challenges. Did it? Well, what it says here is this is danger, and maybe the danger is that I must be able to I must be able to stay focused on what it is that's important to me. Okay? What needs to have attention paid to it. Okay, to let my thing happen as I want it to happen. Okay? And not let my head get in the way. Or not let my emotions get in the way. To just, I don't want to play head games. I don't want to say, oh, I'm worried now. What if, is it going to be that big of a deal? As long as the event is properly planned and we get out of we're going to get out of it what we put into it. I'm not going to base this relationship I have on with this person on any past relationships. That's not fair. That's not fair. This person has nothing to do with the last person that was in my life. Nothing to do with them, right? Remember what it is that the reason I want to do what did I want to do. remember what that reason was. Remember why I want to do it in the first place. It is about celebration with friends. It's about fulfilling this creative urge I have. It's about finding the teacup to go in my saucer, to make my tea set complete, right? It's not about fragmented pieces. This looks like nonsense to people, right? If you would just look at these foxes and you go, well, that's the silliest thing I ever saw. Why would a fox take a concertina? Well, we don't know why the fox wants a concertina, but you trust me when I say, and believe me when I say, a fox is very, very good at taking what they want when they want it. They're very sly and very, very intelligent animals. And we know that about foxes, and we always say sly as a fox. He's going after what he wants. It's not up to us to decide whether he should have a concertina. It's up for him to decide what he wants and for him to get it. And that's exactly what he did. He waited for the right time and the right manner, and he went in and got the item he could carry. He could carry one thing. He picked a concertina. This one picked a teacup to go with his saucer. Exactly what he wanted. So same for me. I need to pay attention in the reality of the day, what it is that I need, what it is I want, and what it is I don't want. Before I'm in the dark, before I'm confused by emotions, before I'm confused by stinking thinking, as my friend Jackie at Mother Moon Monastery says, it's about knowing before you do it what you're going to do and how you're going to get it, and then doing it, and just paying focused to what it is, just keeping yourself, what is it that you want? Why are you doing it? Worry about that, okay? That could have been what the card was saying to me, but I'm not finished. Just a minute. While it told me about the card, while this gave me maybe some answers about why the card was coming up, I did some more thinking, and I was thinking, you know what? I said this on Friday. What day was it? Yes, on Friday. I said tomorrow is leap day. Saturday was leap day. And that is how often does it come up? Once every 4 years. Leap day comes up once every 4 years. And I've been thinking, getting in touch with, getting ready to go to celebrate the Sabbath, this season of the equinox is coming, right? The vernal equinox is coming in a couple weeks, of Sarah. And that is the time, at equinoxes, I always use the equinoxes to try to get myself in balance. And I could see right away when I was doing this deck, if I only had 2 cards, here I have the head queen, and here I have the emotion queen. Head emotion, right? I'm not really in balance here. I could see from my reading I was not really in balance. So I remembered when I had looked at this kind of thing before, and I remembered in the Druid Craft Oracle deck, which I shared, and I can slip over here and get it because I had it this morning. Right here, which is beautiful. It has all kinds of herbs and flowers. And this is one of these Will Worthington illustrated decks, which, those illustrations are so beautiful. Like the, whatever. I don't want to go into that. Anyway, I had done before, and I did it for several people for private readings, using the Pentagram spread. This is in the back of that book, I think. Now that I say that, I sure hope it is. I think that's where I got it. Sure hope it is. I don't know. Must be. Because I did it. The last time I did it, I used the cards from that deck. But anyway, this is a little laid out a little differently, but they have here the this is the traditional points of the pentagram, and they have here air and water and earth and fire, and up here they have spirit. So it's a 5-card draw. This is a 5-card draw. It's a fresh card, and this is the reading that I did on the 29th, which was just the day after I I was doing this other reading that I had done, in this informal reading I had done with the with just the 5-card cross, okay? I used the pentagram this time because I want to see what I needed to do. If these energies were so strong around me, this kind of imbalance, which you might want to say, causing this card to come up all the time, this so often, what do I need to do, to keep this card from coming up so often? What do I need to do? What changes should I be doing to get myself in balance in time for the equinox? Because that's what I like to do. I like to try to balance myself. That's a big, big part of my routine, my life, and the activities I do at Mabon and at Ostara. Okay, getting the time when the light is going away and the darkness is coming at Mabon, and the time in the spring at Ostara, when spring begins, by the way, when the light is returning and darkness is behind us. Equal light and dark, starting the next day, more light than dark every day, until we get to the solstice. Okay. So I pulled 5 cards here, and I said, well, how do I need to be in balance with this? And what did this help? Using the elements. Again, using the elements. So here I had the first card. I'll try to make this as quick as I can, but I figure at least I'm not doing these 2-hour live videos, so you can always cut it off and come back. It's a good place to cut it off. Just stop it and come back another time if it's too long. But this one, don't ever forget to come back, because I like this. I like this spread. You might want to try this. If you're interested in putting elements, this is a spread designed using the elements. Okay, and this talks about fire first, number 1. Inspiration, as inspiration. Where does your inspiration come from? Where does your inspiration come from? And I pulled the Ace of Challenges, which makes a lot of sense, because that's Ace of Challenges is a new idea, right? That's a new idea. So that does make sense. But in this deck, it talks about the raven and the silver arrow, this white raven that is the advisor, by the way, for the Queen of Challenges. It's a silver arrow that never misses its mark. Because it gives you the focus that you need, the ethics you need for your motive, so that it's not a false thought. This is something, when you get this idea, it's a good one. Okay, and it's telling you that here's the tool you need to have the strategy and to communicate what is your ideas, to stay focused. Okay, so that's really good. Okay, that's in fire. The second card, water, tells you where your heart is. Where's your heart? And here my heart, apparently, is in the space of the Two of Boons, which the Two of Boons talks about balance. Again, there's that balance, which I thought, well, that's very auspicious coming from what I'm talking about balance. I'm looking at balance anyway. This is talking about balancing your responsibilities. It's warning you not to take on more than you can handle. Well, how many of us do that? And I've done that a million times, and I told you that's my biggest problem, that I do this all the time. And it says that there are things just waiting for you to slip up. There's waiting for you things to slip up. Well, I already know what some of those things are just waiting, and that's that Queen of Air, the Queen of Challenges, who showed up in the last reading that I did. It's my head, getting out of my head. Things that come up in my head, okay? This is, so when you have to keep attention. And I love this card. Look at this card, how cool this is. Because there's this troll under the bridge or whatever it is. And the man is crossing the bridge, and he's got to keep in balance or he's going to fall. It's a narrow bridge. And he's, trying to keep a load that he's not going to lose. And I think if he does fall, that troll's not going to keep him for long. But he's looking up. He has the attitude like the Fool does in the tarot. looking ahead. Is he really paying attention to where he's going? He's sort of carefree, not really watching. Maybe he's not watching, maybe he's not paying close enough attention. And the fact is, now this is what I want to say. This card came up when I did the reading, came up in the reverse. Now, I don't necessarily read the reverse of most cards in most decks because I have said this before. I think there are cards that represent the reverse meanings. And my cards are handled all the time. My cards are, first of all, they're handled, so they're turned every which way just because. And not always just because I turn them. Other people look at my cards, and I still keep using them. I never reorder them. I don't ever reorder them. But I trust when I deal and put my intention into the shuffle that the right cards will come up and answer my questions. Okay? So I trust if I need the reverse meaning, it's going to come up. But now there are exceptions. Sometimes when I get a lot of reversals, I pay attention to that. I might, I just think that's really a bad shuffle. I think for some reason, I don't know why I've always thought that was a bad shuffle. But also, depends on the card and my question. I like to take note, make a mental note of what was the reversal and see what that means, how that might change it. And it's not a reverse meaning. I will do a video on how I read reversals, different ways I read reversals, but right now it's not the time. But anyway, I want to say that I did make mental note that was a reversal. And the reason I did it, because it was a card about balance. It is a card about balance, and I am looking about balance, okay? And the meaning of this card itself is about balance. So that's why I paid special attention. And so I paid attention in this deck. I think I mentioned before that in the minor arcana, the author has what they call a closer look, just a closer look. Some little detail about the card. And here it says, ogres, it's an ogre under the bridge, tend to blend into their surroundings, so they aren't always easy to spot. Vigilance is called for. If possible, peek under all bridges before crossing. Well, what does that remind me of? In the last reading, the day before. Peek under the bridge before you cross it. Take note of your surroundings before it gets dark, right? Kind of the same kind of thing coming up, which I found interesting. Okay, third, air. What are my thoughts being affected by? And I got the Weaver of Boons. Wasn't that interesting? The Weaver of Boons. The Queen of Pentacles. The Weaver of Boons. This witch, all the weavers in this deck, by the way, the queens are witches. And it says, this witch's magic is earth-centered. Virtue of plants, secrets of stones, bird and animal lore, the dance of the seasons. This card can indicate the need for common sense. I love this because this is me. This is absolutely me. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about the garden. I'm all about the herbs and the stones. And I'm all about and as a matter of fact, my event that's coming up is about all of these things too. And my intuition. And it says, this card can indicate the need for common sense, I said. And it said, in the shadow, what does she do? Takes too much upon herself in the shadow. The court cards have a shadow side of this deck. Taking too much upon herself. That has to be danger. I have to be not taking too much upon myself. What do I need? What do I need? I need that person I can count on who has the same vision as I do, who shares my dream, who shares my joy of doing what it is that I want to do. Very cool. In the place of earth, You are in the place of where? Where are you? Where are you physically? You are in a place of, and it said the Seven of Spells. The Seven of Spells. Is it? Can you see that? Okay. The Seven of Spells is a dragon being confronted by the I guess they're gnomes. I guess they're gnomes or trolls, or I guess they're gnomes. Those are gnomes. Okay. And it says, stand your ground. Yes, the gnomes represent lesser forces that may be rallied against you. Ooh, what? Lesser forces that may be rallied against you. Trivial problems add up. And the message of the card is no one problem stands out more than the other one. No one, it's nothing new. I'm not seeing anything new. All of these gnomes look exactly the same. They're nothing compared to a dragon. There's just a lot of them. They're like a nuisance. Like, you want to get out of the way. It's a nuisance. Little things that don't mean anything, that came up in the past, that try to block me. You know, my head, get in my head, let my head get in the way. These thoughts come into my head that are nothing. They don't mean anything. They're all in my head. They're all in my imagination, as I am not facing. You know, other people are so much better at this than I am. Where do you see light? Can you see it there? Maybe. Maybe. Be patient. Do what you have to do. Be patient. Write it out. Be patient. Be patient. And finally, Spirit. What card did I get for Spirit? This is kind of interesting. This is the version of the Hanged Man. This is called Suspension. The Magician caught in amber, which I love amber. Amber, got an amber ring. I wear amber a lot. In order to achieve that sense of balance, this is a time, this card signifies, I thought this was interesting, a time to surrender to a higher purpose. There are times for action and times to stay still and deepen in wisdom. Your soul is ready for its next stage of growth. This may involve a sacrifice of well-laid plans, but retreating from daily life or listen for messages. Maybe what do I need to do to get out of this headspace, to get out of this fear, to get rid of the fears that something's going to go wrong, to get rid of the cynicism that the last reading showed me that I might have about people. Just relax. Pull yourself away from that. Take yourself to a different place. Maybe do some meditation. Maybe do some yoga. Write it out. Write out those feelings. When I feel better, go forward. When I feel better, go forward. I'll know when the time is right. And it says to spend a little more time on mystical things, spiritual things than I do on earthly things like worrying about petty behaviors or worrying about, those kind of things. Do it with my heart. Remember what my passion is. Remember what it is I wanted to do. So at this time, to get myself back into balance, add some spiritual things to I have spent so much time working and planning and cooking and prodding and doing all these things that I want to do when I'm prepping for something like this that's coming up. I'm going to spend so much physical time doing physical things. It is first of all a spiritual event. I need to put more spirituality in my event. I need to put more in myself. I need to spend more time. Instead of doing more, I also have to do less so I can feel more, so I can get myself balanced, spend some quiet time in my garden, spend some quiet time with cards, spend some quiet time with my stones. It's quiet times meditation or in yoga. Okay? I'm looking for dragonflies, which, I have never been a dragonfly person. Like, I love dragonflies, like so many are, but I love them. I just don't talk about them. And the reason I love them so much is they show up to me. When I see dragonflies, I see a lot of them. And then I don't see any. And then I see a lot of them. And isn't that funny that I never thought about it then? But a dragonfly is a sign that tells you you're ready. You're ready. Okay? It's a sign that this is the time for you to take that next step. This is the time for you to make this change. Something's coming. Some kind of a change is coming and happening. And the dragonfly is a good indicator of that. So I'm going to be looking for some dragonflies during this time. Anyway, I didn't mean to make this long. But one thing, if you get one thing out of this, excuse me, let me take a sip. Thank you. If you get one thing out of this, when you're reading elements, first of all, remember there's elements in your cards anyway. Anytime you read cups, anywhere in the spread, think about it as having to do with intuition. If you're asking a question, that's going to be trusting your intuition or not trusting your intuition, or trusting your feelings or emotions or not, or the emotions that you have or something, or whatever. It is something, depending on your question and position in the spread, having to do with cups. Having to do, if it's air, if it's swords, it has to do already with air. It has something to do with communication with another person, or it has something to do with, moving too quickly or whatever. It is about the element right away, first thing. Second thing is, if you're going to use elements in the spread, additional cards to represent element, you have to read the element that's already there, if it is one, if it represents one, plus the element of the position that you have it in. Okay? Think about it. When we were doing the court cards, what if you get a court card in one of the elemental spreads? Which I did. Okay? The Weaver of Challenges. The Queen of Swords, which is the Queen is watery, the watery sign of air in the position of water. Wasn't that what I said? The watery side of air in the position of water. The emotional side of communication in the position of either communication, either intuition or emotion. Air, it's airy, it's a headspace in a heart space, headspace in a heart space, right? In position of relationships, perhaps. Okay, that's what you need to think of. You need to remember those things. Okay. Anyway, good luck. I don't know if you normally use elements in your spread or not. I'd love to know if you do, and how you do it. A video response would be fine. I'd love that. And that's all. I think I'm too long already. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again really soon. I'm Rebecca, and I send you blessings.